All right, guys, we're going to rock and roll here on the show. You confirmed LinkedIn and YouTube, if you can, Judah, in the group. LinkedIn, YouTube, in the group. I'll confirm the rest. Headlines are on screen, J-Dubs?
Yep.
Excellent.
Group is up.
Fantastic. Thank you. Like and share the show. Like and share the show. Friday edition of the I Love CVille show. Busy week for our shop and busy week for Charlottesville. Daily Progress, good coverage today in the Daily Progress on zoning. We talked about this on Real Talk with Keith Smith. I thought Real Talk with Keith Smith was very good. We're going to continue some of that discussion on today's program, guys. Judah, I'm going to ask you which headline is most intriguing to you and why on today's show. I'm baffled that Gentry Lock continues to work for Charlottesville.
It is pretty baffling.
You found it baffling?
But maybe it has to do with their knowledge of the case, not wanting to, read in a new company.
But
I know.
I'm baffled by this. I'm baffled by the decision making. We'll talk about it on today's show. How about Jim Ryan? How much was it? $600,000?
Yep.
To be a educator, to get fired.
Written into his contract. Well, not to get fired.
Actually, I would not want what he's gone through.
Yeah.
I would not want what he's gone through. We'll talk about a lot of news today on the program. Which headline most intrigues you and why, Judah?
Well, in lieu of our discussion yesterday on AI, I find it interesting that there's a nearby college that will soon start using AI to check students' essays when they're applying for the school, and as a lot of students are now using AI to write their essays, I think that's an interesting development.
We don't have the one shot on the desk set up. That's fine. We're going to use this. No sweat. We'll just move without it. All right. We can rock and roll when you're ready. Are we live on LinkedIn? Did you confirm that for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I'm ready to go. I need about 10 seconds here. It's been a crazy week, has it not?
No doubt.
Conan Owen, one of the headlines, thank you for the email, Hollymead Town Center Starbucks closing. Although I will say this is not about the struggle of the business per se. It's about how bad that location is from an entry point. There are Starbucks everywhere that are around Hollymead that are performing very well. So not necessarily something to read too much into. All right, we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show. Good Friday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the show. It's great to connect with you through the I Love CVille network. A lot we're going to cover on the program, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk, more zoning. This is so crazy. It continues to be the content fountain that doesn't stop gurgling. This content vertical just continues to offer talking points for this show. The city of Charlottesville is going to stand by the law firm that missed a filing deadline that caused a courtroom fiasco and got a lot of people angry and scratching their heads this week. We will talk Gentry Lock on today's show. We're going to talk the Hoss Spencer article in the Daily Progress. He interviewed John Matthews, who is the head of the Mitchell Matthews Architects and Planners firm. John Matthews estimates his office has $390 million in projects that could be delayed from this zoning. That's his office alone. When does this number start approaching or eclipsing $1 billion? He, in this article, says that does not even include the supply chain of people that work in development or zoning.
Yeah.
Did you read the article?
Yeah. Contractors, subcontractors.
Are you on screen?
No.
Judah Wickower's voice over there. $390 million stalled for his firm alone. Unbelievable. Not including the folks that would be working on this project.
Yeah.
What is the true economic impact that this zoning fiasco has had on Charlottesville? I mentioned on Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning, either Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, Weldon Cooper, or the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors. It's probably one of those three groups. Maybe it's the Chamber of Commerce, a fourth group, should do a thorough analysis on the economic impact of this stalled zoning debacle. What it's doing from a jobs standpoint and an economic engine standpoint. Because if the principal of one firm in town is saying his firm, it's $390 million, what are the other firms and the rest of the supply chain saying?
Yeah.
And then that analysis, that documentation should be presented to Sam Sanders and to City Council. We may be startled with how high that number is. What's on your brain about this as I'm fighting a throat itch here?
Yeah, it's obviously we need to get this settled as soon as possible. I don't know if that's actually possible. Even if Judge Worrell decides to go ahead with this and bring it all back to to the bench, do we still have any idea when the outcome to this would be? I don't think we do. It could be another. I mean, it was already going to be another year, right?
I mean, how this is just one of the most poorly handled, and I'm by no means an expert on this.
Yeah.
But I'm just reading the news and talking to people. The city has no consistency with staff, certainly since COVID. We've seen a multitude of city managers, a multitude of assistant city managers, the lieutenants to the city manager, neighborhood development services, multiple directors at NDS, a turnstile in City Hall. We've seen a turnstile with the city attorney's office. Yeah. The insiders call it missing institutional or lacking institutional memory. As a result of that turnstile, the city has had to hire third-party law firms, one Sands Anderson, to help it run the city, another third-party law firm, Gentry Locke, to help it manage this lawsuit where homeowners in Charlottesville City are suing the city over this radical new zoning ordinance. The Gentry Locke firm, perhaps because of the turnstile in City Hall, because no one was managing them appropriately, missed a key filing deadline, which caused the default judgment, which had probably the most pro-housing judge, one of the most pro-housing judges out there, decide to throw out a case. The same judge whose wife is an activist for the zoning code, the same judge who lives in the city and chose not to recuse himself for conflict of interest, despite the zoning ordinance probably driving value for his home. The city could not have had a more ideal judge And still, something as basic as a filing deadline caused the proverbial you-know-what to hit the fan.
Yeah.
Today, we find out that the city is going to stand by the third-party law firm that missed the filing deadline.
Despite having an attorney now.
Despite having what we hope is a long-term city attorney.
One would hope.
Is that Mr. Maddox?
Let's see. Yeah. John
Today
Maddox.
we have in the Daily Progress Hall Spencer interviewing a known commodity and development in Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
His name is John Matthews, who's the head of the Mitchell Matthews Architects and Planning firm. And Mr. Matthews, on the record in the media, on a story about the zoning debacle, knowing that City Hall and city staff and city council were going to read what he has to say to Hall Spencer, who's the star reporter of the Daily Progress, and it's not even close. Matthews, and you should be rotating lower thirds that are tied to this on screen. Matthews contends, and I'm reading verbatim from the article, contends that Judge Wuerl's ruling has caused not just uncertainty, but he estimates his office alone has $390 million in projects that could be delayed. He then says to Hall Spencer, a number of people are potentially hurt that really don't deserve to be hurt because of the tardiness of Gentry Lock.
Mm-hmm.
He adds that it's not just deep-pocketed developers who stand to lose opportunities if growth is halted. Matthews said the development supports the payrolls at many other white-collar professional firms,
Engineers.
on top of the blue-collar working class that work on these projects: electricians, painters, janitorial, windows, HVAC, carpenters, drywall, flooring, roofing, siding, foundation, masons.
Mm-hmm.
He highlights the civil engineers, the geotechnical engineers, the structural engineers, the mechanical engineers, the acoustical engineers, the surveyors, the land planners, the urban planners, all the consultants.
Yeah.
This isn't just the wealthy impacted. This is the working class impacted at a time when the working class cannot face this kind of challenge because the economic environment is brittle at best, vulnerable more realistically.
And what's worse is some of these, whether they're engineers, surveyors, subcontractors, some of them can't wait around to just sit on their hands to wait for when they can get back to work, and may have to move on to other projects, which may kill current projects.
100% correct, Judah. And the most damning of this all, an incredibly powerful, wealthy person, land holding, real estate holding person in the city, one of its largest, mentioned to me he will not do anything with the city anytime soon, period, end of story.
Yeah.
Neil Williamson watching the show, he says it is easily a $1 billion plus direct investment and induced economic impact. What is happening here? 1 billion plus, he estimates it at.
Wow.
I think the number should be in the news cycle. What is the economic impact of this zoning shit show? If one firm in Charlottesville is saying $390 million tied directly to their office, the 1 billion number could be light.
Yeah.
And the most concerning aspect is the lack of confidence or trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very difficult to repair.
Yeah. Also very difficult to measure.
Is this Weldon Cooper? Is this the Free Enterprise Forum? Is this the Chamber of Commerce? Who would do this estimate? Is this CAR? If I was CAR, the most pro-housing organization out there, and I was the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors president, I would be commissioning somebody to figure out what the actual number economic impact is of poor decision making, missed filing deadlines, malfeasance, and malpractice.
Yeah.
And then that number should be utilized to help stabilize the organization, City Hall euphemism, and help determine the right plan of attack, which is as obvious as I've ever seen of any plan of attack. If John Mannix and Sam Sanders are not being instructed by City Council to go to the plaintiffs and find common ground with negotiation with their lawsuit and get this lawsuit thrown out immediately, then I'd be flabbergasted.
Yeah.
The path of least resistance is go to the plaintiffs, give them enough of what they want so they drop the lawsuit.
Yeah, definitely.
The path of least resistance is not to go to the judge on their knees begging for forgiveness so that they can move forward with a lawsuit that at its earliest would see its time in court in June of 2026. A lawsuit that would, a zoning ordinance that would be unchanged, that is already proven to rankle and piss off many in the city. Help me understand what is happening here, please, somebody. Because I don't understand the rationale.
Yeah.
Is it Weldon Cooper that would come up with that number? I mean, I don't think after further thought that it would be you, although I think you could help contribute to that number. Neil, would it be Carr commissioning Weldon Cooper to come up with that number? Is that what it would be? Is this like a Hamilton Lombard project waiting to happen at Weldon Cooper? We need to know the number. A lot we're going to cover on the program. We're going to talk Jim Ryan's salary, $600K as a professor. We'll talk Starbucks Hollymead Town Center closing, artificial intelligence back in the headline again. I have a feeling we're going to be talking a lot of artificial intelligence, unfortunately, on the I Love CVille show as it continues to manifest our Central Virginia reality.
Infuse our daily lives.
We'll give some props to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 61 years in business, a business run by the Vermillion family. The Vermillions are 5 generations in Albemarle County. John Vermillion, Andrew Vermillion run the business now on High Street. Sarah Williams, thank you for watching on YouTube. Online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply is where you should shop for your sanitary needs, your cleaning needs, your pool cleaning needs, and if you need mechanical work done on vacuums, pool robots, or any sanitary equipment. A lot we're going to cover on the show on a shorter edition of the I Love CVille show today. We have a final walkthrough in the city on a business we're helping broker, the sale of a business that we're brokering. We'll make that announcement potentially next week or the week after the owner gives us the green light to make the announcement, as big time news in the food and beverage business. And our firm, Charlottesville Business Brokers, continues to have significant positive momentum in the commercial real estate and business brokerage space. Geez Louise. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll relay them live on air. Deep Throat, his photo on screen, always the comedian. I like his wry humor. He says city residents should buy calendars and mail them to Ryan Starks at Gentry Lock. Deep Throat says, on the Gentry Lock story, I think the city has stuck with them because they are penny wise and pound foolish. Probably Gentry Lock is doing some of the current work for free because their malpractice created the work.
Yeah.
We should see if we can get the Matthews Fellow on the show. Anyone know John Matthews of the Mitchell Matthews Architects and Planners firm who spoke to Hawes today? I'd love to get John Matthews on the show. It also shows you the developers who push to have their plans move forward under the old zoning ordinance. They're Nostradamus. These are geniuses. Folks were like, why wouldn't you wait for the new zoning ordinance? There was a contingent, a gaggle of developers who said, no, let's just do it under what the plans we currently have, and let's make sure we're grandfathered in. Those people are geniuses.
Yeah. They probably saw that, that they could get approved the way the plan currently was, and why wait for an uncertain future?
Neil Williamson on Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning says this: in a May City Council meeting, Neighborhood Development Services reported 60 pre-application meetings, 20 applications filed, and just 3 approved under the new zoning ordinance. Mm-hmm. And Neil's crystal ball this morning predicted that Charlottesville will enact the new zoning ordinance without changes. There will be a lawsuit. The clouds of uncertainty on development will continue for 45 months or more. Because of this uncertainty, you will see a drop in investment in the city.
That's huge.
And he says the money will follow the path of least resistance. And he says, per Lloyd Snook, discussions with the plaintiffs have currently gone nowhere.
It's a shame.
Unbelievable. Vanessa Parkhill, Philip Dow, welcome to the broadcast. From a content creator, it's a content creator's dream.
Fire hose of...
From a businessman standpoint, it's debacle. John Blair's comment I'll get to in a matter of moments. With print, radio, and television watching, John says, don't you think that the architect's comments really put a bow on the true issue with the NZO? John says, how many architects, developers, construction workers, construction company owners, builders, and most especially bankers were truly consulted before the NZO was enacted? Or how many of them were consulted before the city council's actions on Monday night? John says, compare that number, if it exists, to the amount of activists and politicos that were talked to. John says you don't make land use policy for a locality unless you have the buy-in of the real estate, construction, development, and finance professionals. That's whose voice is supposed to shape your land use policies, the people who actually produce housing.
Great points.
Instead, what they did was listen to livable Charlottesville. That's who deserves a lot of the blame here. Actually, I take that back. Here's an unpopular statement. You know who deserves a lot of the blame here, if not all the blame?
City council.
Nope.
No.
Take it a step further.
Go ahead.
Who do you think I'm going to say? It's not the group most to blame is not Livable CVille. They're second. City council is third. Staff is fourth. You know who's most to blame here?
You're going to say Sam Sanders?
Voters.
Voters.
Who voted these folks into office. Because what's all said and done, 5 councilors have to manage a city manager who then manages staff. Those 5 councilors have to manage a city manager who's overseeing third-party law firms. And those 5 councilors have to determine whether they're going to get bullied and influenced by activists instead of listening to learn by finance professionals, developers, real estate professionals, and the people that are actually in the field doing the work. we, the voters and taxpayers, greenlit or voted these folks onto the dais.
I see what you're saying, but did any of them run on a new zoning ordinance?
Every single one of them ran on housing in some capacity with their platform.
Okay.
Give me a council candidate since COVID who's run on a platform that's not housing. I'll ask that question for the viewers and listeners and correct me if I'm wrong. Give me a council candidate that's run on a platform that's not tied to housing. I'll take it a step further.
But therein lies the problem. If all of the candidates are running on housing, is it still the voters' fault for
Touche.
choosing from a limited amount of options?
Touche. If this is the only options you get, even if you don't vote, if they vote for themselves and their spouse votes for them, they're going to get on the dais. So maybe it's not the taxpayers or the voters.
I mean,
this past cycle, we had 3 people for 2 spots. 2 of the 3 were incumbents.
yeah.
One of them you can certainly paint as an activist.
And I would definitely say that
Fleischer.
That switch almost any of the recent candidates with any of the people we've had on seats, and you would still end up with a 5-0 vote for the new zoning ordinance.
Touche. All right. Then I'll shift the most culpable here to either the bullying lobbying group Livable CVille or the susceptible to the bullying and lobbying city council.
Yeah.
Who's most to blame?
I mean, ultimately, I think you've got to lay it at the council's feet.
You lay it at the council's feet. That if this study, Neil Williamson's put up straight up in the comments, this is an over $1 billion impact on the city.
Yeah.
Someone should pay Weldon Cooper to do this study.
Do we really want to spend more money?
What's that, 20, 30 grand? To figure out the true economic impact of what's happened here through malpractice and malfeasance?
Well, what do you do with that information?
Scare the bejeebus out of people into making better decisions?
If you think that would work.
Carr should want to know that alone because they're the housing lobbying group.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Anything you want to add to this before we go to the next topic?
I don't know that there's much to add. Hopefully somebody has the ear of some of the people, of people on the council, helping them to make better decisions. But, it's perhaps a faint hope.
Snook's saying on the record that the negotiations with the plaintiffs are going nowhere.
I'm really not that surprised. I think
if I was the plaintiffs, if I was in one of the 9 plaintiffs, I would legitimately realize that we have so much leverage right now.
Yeah.
And I would legitimately look at the city and say, if you want this lawsuit to go away, you're going to give us this, and that, and ask for the moon.
But do they? I don't.
Unless the plaintiffs are hemorrhaging from a legal bill standpoint.
Yeah.
If the plaintiffs are exhausting the capital, exhausting their resources to pay the bill and realize that this could be years more of fight, if that's the case, then they can't go balls to the wall with the negotiation. If they're set on money or have outside funding or other people contributing outside of the lawsuit to this endeavor, which perhaps is the case, I would bet, yes, that's the case, then I would realize if I was the plaintiffs that I have the leverage here and I'm going to ask for what I want. Because do you think the judge is going to offer the city grace for the misfiling deadline and say this can move forward?
I don't really see it happening.
I don't see that happening either. Do you, viewers and listeners?
But I'm also not sure if the plaintiffs want anything other than to see the zoning ordinance go away. I'm not sure if there are any appeasement measures that the city could take, any changes they could make in the zoning ordinance that would get the plaintiffs to say, okay, we can go with that. I kind of feel like they just want it gone, and they're willing to stick to it until that happens. I don't know.
Story that will not go away. Next headline. Put it on screen. What do you got, Juno? And we should give some love to Sir Speedy. Conan Owen, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, is locally owned and operated. Conan Owen is a Darden graduate. He's a very astute businessman, fantastic in business development, Conan Owen. If you have a logo and you want to see your logo in various applications, then Conan Owen and Sir Speedy are who you call. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. Next headline. Is that Jim Ryan?
Yep.
$600,000? Set the table.
The wonderful reporters at Cavalier Daily.
Cavalier Daily's been doing a good job.
They have. They got to look at former UVA president Jim Ryan's employment contract and found that in the event of him leaving, in the event of him resigning, there were, I believe, clauses for getting fired with cause, fired without cause, and resigning. And under the contract, if he resigns, he gets a faculty salary that's 75% of his presidential salary, which was $912,000 in 2024.
That's just the money. That doesn't include the pomp and circumstance of being the president, Cars Hill, the country club membership, the free living quarters, all the other pomp and circumstance. Go ahead. I apologize for interrupting.
So he will likely receive around $600,000 annually, a significant amount considering what other university professors generally make. He's also got a ton of paid sabbatical leave. I believe 2 months for each 12 months of service as the president. And I think he also gets in the interim, he also gets a staff. In a public release, the university announced that Ryan would take a sabbatical after stepping down. He will still be entitled to receive his presidential salary and benefits during his time away on sabbatical, and will be entitled to an office, staff support, and an annual budget of $50,000 for research and travel expenses during the sabbatical.
Jim Ryan ain't hurting.
And as I believe we know by now, he is currently working as a professor
In the law school.
Yeah,
Jim Ryan ain't hurting.
not hurting at all.
Everything you know now, if you had the opportunity to step into Jim Ryan's shoes before he took the UVA job, would you have taken the UVA job? With the benefit of hindsight, and hindsight includes this transitionary job and compensation, but it also includes all the stress and a lot of the stuff he went through. There was no precedent for.
Yeah.
COVID,
Right.
triple murder,
Yeah.
the white-collar racketeering at the hospital, the pepper spraying of students.
Yeah.
Now, he made a lot of piss-poor decisions along the way. And I now, with benefit of hindsight, would say he made a lot of mistakes. But a lot of the mistakes he made were on circumstances that had no precedent to learn from or to reference. Everything you know now, if you're Jim Ryan, would you have taken the UVA job? If someone asked Jim Ryan that question today, everything you know now.
If he had to make all the same decisions?
If he had the choice, if he had Doc Emmett Brown, DeLorean and the flux capacitor, with Marty McFly driving the DeLorean, and he set the flux capacitor to, when did he take it? He's not going to set the flux capacitor to land in Hillsdale by the clock tower, that's for sure. He's probably going to set the flux capacitor to land in Charlottesville by the rotunda on August 1, 2018.
And slap the contract out of his own hands?
August 1, 2018, instead of the sports almanac, would he take the DeLorean and the flux capacitor and have it land on the rotunda on July 31, 2018, and tell yesteryear Jim Ryan not to do this?
Don't do it.
Would he do it? Like Marty had to do, and was it Back to the Future 2? When he had to go to Marty McFly, the older one, and tell him not to accept that deal with Biff because it was going to land him in jail. Would he do it? That was a lot of references to Back to the Future, by the way. Maybe too much. I love that movie. Hell of a franchise. Would he do it?
I think he probably would.
You think he would? Are you nuts? You think this man would go through what he's gone through over the last 7 years for, what, $7 million in compensation?
You think he wouldn't?
I do not think Jim Ryan would take this job. If Jim Ryan could go to July 31, 2018, and tell his younger self, this is everything that's going to happen to you, his younger self would not take this job.
I'm not even sure he would go back and tell himself not to do it.
What does that mean?
It means a lot of people in positions of power and authority believe that they're the right person for the job, or potentially the only person for the job. He might think that that despite everything that he knows about these last 7 years, that somebody else would have done a lesser job in his position, would not have handled it as well.
Okay, so you think he's clouded by ego?
I don't know that he's clouded by ego, but
that's what you're saying. You're saying he believes, given the circumstances that came across his 7 years in office, that no one could have handled it better than him.
That UVA perhaps would have been in a worse spot if somebody else had been helming it.
Well, that's clouded by ego.
Okay.
You don't think that's clouded by ego? You're basically saying it gets back to the people in positions of power, the dark triad.
Yeah, I don't know that I fully see Jim Ryan.
Not to the extent of a Trump in the dark triad.
No, definitely not.
But basically that's what you're saying. The people with positions of power have
often see themselves as indispensable.
The narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellism traits.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I see those very strongly in Jim Ryan.
I don't think there's a chance in hell Jim Ryan, knowing what he knows now, would allow his younger version of himself to take this job.
That's fair.
Look at how much the man has aged. Look at what it has done professionally to his reputation. What has it done professionally to his reputation? You think it's martyred him?
I mean, we've talked about the fact that he made an insightful choice to resign when he did, rather than wait for the board if they were ever going to make a decision on this matter.
Well, I'll say this. Now that the Board of Visitors has yet to meet in person, with a president position open, a provost position open, the top 3 positions in the health system open, a foundation position open, 6 of the top 8 positions at UVA, and the Board of Visitors has yet to meet emergency meeting in person. I don't think this Board of Visitors was going to fire Jim Ryan.
Okay.
I don't think they were going to fire him. Because if they were going to fire him, then they would have had a plan to hire him already. The fact that there has been no meeting suggests there's no plan to rehire. And if there's no plan to rehire, that suggests to me that there was no plan to fire.
Yeah.
I don't think Ryan takes this job if he could tell his younger version. Viewers and listeners, what do you think? But if there's some icing, if there's some brightness to this whole debacle, it's the compensation. Rattle it off again.
Likely $600,000 a year for staying on as a professor, as well as a ton of accrued sabbatical time. 2 months for each. That's like 14.
2 months for each year on the job.
Yeah, that's
14 months.
Yeah, over a year of basically paid time off.
14 months of pay time off, 600 grand, work half the time.
And while he's on sabbatical, he continues to receive his presidential salary and benefits, and gets a staff and a budget of $50,000 for travel and doing whatever.
Jim Ryan's going to be sitting at a beach with a Speedo, drinking a Mai Tai with an umbrella in it, saying, "Cheers to you, Jefferson Council."
Yeah.
I hope Jim Ryan hears what I just said. President Ryan, when you're in the Caribbean, on a beach in the Speedo, after running a 5K at whatever vacation spot that you chose in your Ragged Mountain kicks, drinking a Mai Tai with an umbrella in it, working on your suntan, earning $1 million for 14 months, you take your Mai Tai and your umbrella drink and you say, "Cheers to you, Bert Ellis and Jefferson Council."
Yeah.
And send me a selfie.
And do you still think he would? I mean, I'm sure it was a rough 7 years. Not all of it.
Dude, it was a miserable 7.
Not
It
all
started
of it.
okay.
Yeah.
It started in August of 2018. It went really well from August 2018 until what? March, April 2020 when COVID started.
Yeah.
And from March, April 2020 all the way till
Okay.
July 11th, 2025.
I don't know if you can include the the COVID.
You don't include the
Because if you were to go back in time and tell yourself to do something else, whatever you do, you're still going to have to deal with COVID. COVID is kind of a
fair point,
a constant in whatever.
Because all the other ones had to deal with it too.
Yeah, wherever he ends up, he's still going to have to deal with COVID.
But the COVID caused the mental anguish and the stress that yielded or led to all the middle and back end turn of events. Remember during COVID, the hospital system was basically shutting down from, was it elective surgeries? The surgeries that the patients chose to do that were non-life-threatening?
Yeah.
The surgeries the patients wanted to do that were non-life-threatening surgeries, how the hospital system made money. That's their bread and butter, their best profit margin.
But they survived.
The mental anguish of COVID and the pandemic, what did that have to do with, how did it impact the triple murder in any capacity? And a murderer's reasoning, a man's reasoning or decision-making to kill 3 classmates. The triple murder, how much did that, pandemic, COVID, how much did COVID amplify activism? How much did it amplify activism pro-Palestine? Activism, you have to give me activism incredibly gained momentum post-COVID than pre-COVID.
But just because something happens after COVID doesn't mean we can necessarily assign COVID as blame for that change.
Respectfully disagree. Pandemic and COVID, we'll eventually look back in hindsight, maybe it's a generation from now, as having a significant impact on human behavior.
It certainly did, but assigning all blame to COVID.
I don't think all blame, but certainly needs assigned influence.
Yeah, it had an influence. It's just a very nebulous question that's extremely hard to
pinpoint and answer.
The answer for.
But fantastic content for a talk show, nevertheless.
No doubt.
John Blair. Jerry, I think you're correct. Nobody would have taken the job given what we know now. Jim was an ed dean at Harvard. I bet he was making a nice salary there. Would you like a 30 to 35 hour a week job making $300K or the last 7 years of Jim's life? I wouldn't want the last 7 years of Jim's life. He's 100% right. I would not want the last 7 years of Jim Ryan's life. President Ryan, we hear that you watched the program. Please send us the Mai Tai,
Photo.
the photo with you in the Speedo drinking a Mai Tai with an umbrella in it on a beach as you get on your phone doing a 5-second video saying cheers to you, Bert Ellis and the Jefferson Council, while you're earning $1 million for the next 14 months on sabbatical. That would be fantastic. I got to walk through at 1:45. I need to leave here shortly. What headlines do we have left? Starbucks?
Yep, Starbucks closing.
Hollymead Town Center Starbucks. We have a comment by a viewer and listener that I trust that I want to read on air. This comment is from Margie King Collins. The Hollymead Town Center Starbucks told me yesterday they were closing due to increasing rent. There you go. Margie King Collins, I did not know that. Neil Williamson also says the Hollymead Town Center Starbucks has no drive-through. The majority of what Starbucks stores, excluding airports, is drive-through. That's 100% true. 100% true. Neil Williamson.
And that whole area is not very walkable.
That area is bananas. I try not to go north of Barracks Road.
Yeah.
Literally, I do not go north of Barracks Road.
I mean, I only go up there if I have got to go to the airport.
Neil Williamson says on the economic analysis impact, that is this issue moving too fast for such an analysis to happen. It's a great point.
Okay.
How would you do an estimate like that? That's a question for Deep Throat. How would you do an economic estimate like that? That's above my pay grade. I have no idea. Chris Fairchild, hello. Dr. John Shabe, hello. Greer Ackerback, Tom Powell, Scott Thorpe, Ray Cadell, welcome to the broadcast. Counselors, supervisors, welcome to the broadcast. I don't know. Margie King Collins just confirmed on the show that she spoke to the Hollymead Town Center Starbucks staff yesterday, and they said they're closing because of escalating rents. If that's not a microcosm for food and beverage, what is?
Especially as we pointed out the other day, places like Scottsville, where the poor restaurateurs are getting
double the meals tax.
By double meal tax.
Town of Scottsville meals tax and Albemarle County meal tax. No wonder nothing stays over there.
Yeah.
Next headline, what do you got? Which is also a testament to Tavern in the James and James River Brewery staying there for so long.
Yeah.
Next headline, what do you got? Although James River Brewery, I believe, does not serve food.
I've never seen food there.
I've seen food trucks there.
Yeah.
Next headline, what do you got?
We've got John Reed sounding off on his education stance.
This is your headline. The whole GOP is in shambles.
It certainly is. But compare John Reed's stance on education to his opponents. John Reed is firmly in the Glenn Youngkin court of saying that the parents aren't the problem; they're the foundation, and we should treat them that way. He thinks that families deserve full visibility into what their children are being exposed to. He wants to put learning first again. Wants to put first and foremost teachers, high quality instruction, and he's against political litmus tests in schools, by which I think he means virtue signaling. He wants to restore discipline and safety in classrooms, bringing back SROs, clear, consistent consequences for students misbehaving, and an end to equity grading, where we actually get back to a system where a grade means something.
Look,
which I really appreciate.
There's a staff member on John Reed's team that legitimately is texting me every single day to get John Reed on the show. And for you, the viewer listeners, I'm going to give my phone to Judah and have him look at the text messages that are sent to me so he can confirm. You don't have to utilize her name.
Just want me to read some of them?
No, just scroll through. and look at the times and the days. I am legitimately getting a text almost every day for John Reed to come on the show. I still am bitter.
Oh my goodness.
That it's almost overwhelming what's
4
happening.
photos, 7 photos, 7 photos.
Yeah, every day. I'm bitter that what the Reed campaign did when they reached out to us, begged for a time slot on the I Love CVille show. And then when things got bad, when he was being sextorted by the Youngkin camp, backed out with less than 24 hours notice after we'd promoted the interview for about a week. It made me look bad and it angered me. And yes, perhaps I'm holding a grudge. Okay? Yes, perhaps I'm holding a grudge. And that's why he has to come on the show. I will say this, a lot of what John Reed stands for, I 1,000% embrace and also stand for. Everything you just rattled off with Virginia Public Schools, I completely agree with.
Yeah.
This candidate, John Reed, if it was any other election year, he would have a very, 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 very good chance of winning.
Yeah.
However, he's running at a time when Donald Trump has alienated Virginians and much of the Commonwealth, in particular the Northern Virginia voter base, with his Department of Government efficiency cuts. The Doge effort, along with Elon Musk, really rankled much of Nova because it pink slipped or caused the early retirement of a lot of Nova.
No doubt.
Furthermore, the GOP ticket atop the ticket is about as terribly organized as I've ever seen a top of the ticket organized at this point of an election cycle.
No doubt.
The governor candidate, Winsome Earl Sears, yesterday replaced her campaign manager.
Who was
She fired the initial
pastor.
campaign manager, who was a preacher, who had no political experience, and she fired him after using him to try to get the black vote in Virginia.
Yeah.
Now she's got someone who's now got political experience. They just had a campaign event in Virginia Beach where it was Winsome Earl Sears and Jason Mieres, but John Reed was not invited.
Yeah. The dysfunction is
Palpable and tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Any other year, Reed's got a shot.
Yeah.
Not this year.
It's going to be a tough uphill battle.
I call double-digit wins atop of the ticket at all 3 spots
All 3 spots. Wow.
for the Dems. Prop bet?
No.
Okay. We do have a prop bet.
I know.
You vote Natalie Ostrin for mayor of Charlottesville. I got Michael Payne for a $75 bottle of Macallan 12. Any more headlines? I got to be there at 1:45.
We've got AI.
Save AI for Monday.
All right.
It's not the last time, first time or the last time we're going to be talking about AI.
No doubt.
Judah Wickhauer, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille show on a Friday. Thank you kindly for joining us. We appreciate your viewership and your listenership. We will see you on Monday at 12:30. So long, everybody.